What is up, you guys? This upcoming Saturday, we have the rematch between Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz. This time, they got the boxing gloves on, though. It is a boxing match. Now, this fight was supposed to be taking place a little bit ago. They rescheduled it. Now, the new date worked out wonderfully for the promotion, as there's no UFC action set to take place this weekend. It's a slow weekend in general as far as mixed martial arts goes. And their initial date was set to take place on the same date as UFC 302. That was the headliner of Islam Makhachev and Dustin Poirier. Besides that, there was a lot of big boxing action taking place that night. So a great change of date for the promotion. And you have to understand that the majority of people watching this fight, the majority of the fans that are going to be tuned in, are mixed martial arts fans, right? It's going to be more of a mixed martial arts base. I mean, that's how Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal carved their name out. I mean, these aren't boxers, right? They're boxing, but the MMA fans are the fans that are going to be tuned in. I will be tuned in, and I got a great deal of respect for both men. And I'll dive into how I think the fight's going to play out and what we can expect from both these men. We're going to dissect the betting line. In fact, we'll head over to BETUS right now. Remember, we are powered by BETUS. Sign up through the link in the description of this video. Get a 125% match on your first 3 deposits. And remember, if you do sign up through that link, let me know so I can send you guys over an additional gift. And here you go. Here's the betting line. The line is set at -250 for Jorge Masvidal as the favorite. You can get 2-to-1 odds on Nate Diaz as he is a +200 underdog. All right, so we go over those odds before we even jump into the fight. And I think that's a good idea because you have to understand that Jorge Masvidal is a pretty hefty favorite here. And being the fact that he's never even had a boxing match before, Nate Diaz just with one professional boxing match. But there's a lot of variables. We're going to go over everything here in a second. All right, so these men have already faced off in the octagon. They fought back in 2019. It was the end of 2019, to be exact. Jorge Masvidal got the TKO stoppage. If you guys remember, he opened up a brutal cut on Nate Diaz's face. Doctor had to come in to stop the fight. Before the stoppage, I would say that Jorge Masvidal was well in control of that fight. He was pretty much dominating the fight, to be exact. He was landing the power shots in there. Nate Diaz, it's hard to really count him out because he is a fighter that thrives on his cardio and conditioning. But up until the point the fight was at, it didn't look like Masvidal was slowing down at all. And he's not really a fighter that is known for having bad cardio. Yeah, we've seen him kind of ragdolled around in the octagon against very tough wrestlers. But as far as his striking goes, I mean, he's a dude that can really throw down for 25 minutes easily. So I don't think Masvidal was going to slow down in that fight. I mean, we never really got to see that play out, though. But what we can take away from the first fight was the fact that Jorge Masvidal seemed to be the more powerful striker. He seemed to be more of the bully in there as well. Just seemed to have more pop on his shots. And from what I was seeing in the boxing exchanges, even if you put bigger gloves on both men, Masvidal was the fighter that was going to be landing crisper, hitting harder, and he would have been taking rounds in a boxing match as well. Now, it's worth noting both men are now 39 years old. It's crazy, man. Masvidal and Diaz are they're up there, man. They're creeping up on the 40 mark, which is it's sad, man. Two iconic figures in the fight game, 2 fun fighters, 2 dudes that have paved the way for the future of mixed martial arts, and they really carved their name in stone, man. They put in solid work, right? No question about it. The best moment of Jorge Masvidal's career was when he landed that flying knee on Ben Askren. That's when he was really on a tear in the cage. In fact, he landed that knee on Askren the fight right before he stopped Nate Diaz there. He had a knockout over Darren Till before that. I mean, he really was on a tear before eventually facing off against Kamaru Usman twice in a row. And the second bout there went disastrous for him. If you guys remember, the sweat was flying all across the cage. He got devastatingly knocked out. And then after that, he got ragdolled by Colby Covington and Gilbert Burns. And that was the beginning of the end of Jorge Masvidal's career fighting in the UFC, at least as it seems. I wouldn't expect him to ever make a return. I don't think the UFC would even be entertaining that. And besides that, Masvidal has a lot going on outside of fighting in the UFC, right? He started his own promotion. Now you see he's doing these types of boxing matches here. He's making money. He has a liquor as well. He's got all types of things going on here, but nothing that will distract him enough, in my opinion, to take an L here against Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz just fought relatively recently, right? He lost to Jake Paul back in 2023 towards the end of the year there in August. And if you ask me, I was not impressed with what I saw from him in the ring that day. I think he'd snagged 3 rounds out of 10 in that fight. And just kind of pushing the pace with some volume. And I think that Paul was kind of taking those rounds off. Paul was in clear control. And that fight, I expect this fight to play out similarly than how that fight took place. I think that Masvidal will have that power edge just as Paul had the power edge there. I think that he'll be more crisp with his striking, and I just don't really favor Nate Diaz's boxing style in a boxing match. I just really don't. That pitter-patter volume style where he tries to use his cardio to kind of take over fights, that's something that worked wonders for him throughout his mixed martial arts career when dudes gassed out. And don't forget, he had a nasty jiu-jitsu game and 21 victories in MMA. He obviously had a lot of success there, but you never really saw Nate Diaz just kind of using any type of athleticism or punching power to really land damage. He's a dude that just tries to overwhelm his opposition with volume. And I just have a hard time seeing this fight play out like that. I mean, if you want to play devil's advocate, yes, this is the first time we're seeing Jorge Masvidal in a 10-round boxing match, in a boxing match in general. But don't forget, Jorge Masvidal is a fighter that we've been seeing bare knuckle box from when he was a kid. At least, I was always watching his fights since I was a kid on YouTube. I mean, he was kind of an icon in the, at least in South Florida and in Florida, in the combat world and the street fighting type of scene that was on YouTube. Remember Kimbo and all that? I mean, Jorge Masvidal was up there at the top of that list. A lot of people knew about him down in South Florida, and I'm sure some of you guys were aware of what he was doing too. And he was a dude that was scrapping 2 dudes in the same day, dudes that were way bigger than him, and he was getting the better of those boxing exchanges. He's a fighter that has really sharp hands, and I think that he's going to be ahead of Nate Diaz throughout this fight. I don't think that he'll gas out. I don't think that even if he tired, I don't think that he would be in a situation where he's getting TKO stopped against the ring. Nate Diaz just has no power in his hands. You put these big gloves on them. He's 39 years old too. It's just, I don't see him getting any type of late stoppage, and I don't see him taking over the fight any time earlier than the 5th, 6th round. And by that time, I think Masvidal will be well ahead. And I think that this fight points towards Jorge Masvidal all day.
Michael Vick here at BetUS.com. Get it all. Huge bonuses, great odds, a race book, live in-game betting, and a casino. BetUS, my online sports book and casino.
Which, the betting line definitely reflects that the masses are in agreement with me here. Jorge Masvidal, as we said at the beginning of this video, he's a minus 250 favorite. It's not a low line. But I'm going to let you guys know how I feel about this line. Listen, I don't see value next to Nate Diaz's name. Even at the 2-to-1 odds at plus 200, I do not see the value there. I would want nothing to do with that. I would steer you guys away from targeting that. I know some of you Diaz fans out there, which I'm a Diaz fan as well, man. I'm very excited for Nick Diaz's return to the UFC if he makes that walk. I'm a huge Diaz fan, okay? I've been watching him from the very beginning. You guys know I'm a longtime fight fan. I'll be honest with you guys. I am more of a Jorge Masvidal fan, if I'm being honest. I just, even when you saw that brawl at the press conference, I like the way Masvidal handles himself more so. Kind of reminds me of like a lion, and he's loyal to his very limited circle. Well, Nate Diaz is more of a hyena type of dude. He has all these guys next to him, and he can't be that cool with all of them. He likes to hang in a huge pack and kind of team up on people like in that sense, which I have no problem with that either. But I'm more of a Masvidal dude, and if you saw that video where he was trying to protect his coach, and I like the way he grabbed that dude's hair and whatnot. He's very wise. He's very street smart. Some of you guys may think that that's like a soft move, but you have to understand when you're in a situation like that where you're outnumbered, man, you see it in Masvidal's body language and his performance in that brawl there. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to stay out of harm's way. That's how you got to be, man. He's a street smart dude, and I'm a big fan of Jorge Masvidal's, all right? So huge fan of Nate Diaz as well. I got Jorge Masvidal taking this fight, and I would even rather be on Jorge Masvidal, even at the high line of minus 250. I think he's going to show out. I'm telling you guys. I think he comes in shape. I think his boxing's crisper. It's sharper. I would rather be mixing Masvidal in a parlay or something. If you got some other action that you're liking that night, some other baseball action or some Wimbledon or something like that, you got a spot that you feel comfortable with, throw Masvidal in it at a minus 250. I think he wins the fight. I really do. Does Masvidal get a stoppage? I'm going to say no. Nate Diaz has shown to be very durable. Now Masvidal is going to have these bigger gloves on. It's going to be a little bit harder to open up a cut like that, like he did in the first fight. And Nate Diaz is just extremely tough, and he's conditioned well. And it's a 10-round fight. I think Nate Diaz should be able to hang around. The only way we would see a stoppage is if somehow Masvidal really opens him up and there's some nasty cuts and maybe they stop the fight. I don't know if I really see Masvidal really cracking him hard and TKOing him, but we'll see. But I'm favoring Jorge Masvidal to win this fight via decision. You guys comment below. Let me know what you think about this match. Who do you guys have to win the fight, and what do you think about the betting line? What are you targeting? I want to know. Comment below. And I want to give a special thank you to everybody that's been tuning in, showing love, and giving me support. I just passed the 9,000 mark on Instagram. If you guys can go follow me on Instagram at MMAFortuneteller_. I'm trying to hit that 10K mark, all right? So we surpassed that 9K. I appreciate you guys so much. Catch me on Twitter as well. I'm on Twitter at the MMA Teller. And on YouTube, man, we're creeping up on that 9K mark as well. 8.86 thousand subscribers. It's all thanks to you guys. I really appreciate you guys. Just hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell and all that stuff. Have a great week. You'll be seeing a lot from me all the time. So appreciate you guys. Signing out. Teller.
Welcome to the show. This is the MMA Fortune Teller. Yeah.
The MMA Fortune Teller.
The teller.